Hi, I'm Gordy Gundaker. Welcome to the Dirt Parlor podcast.
Hi, I'm Don Martin. Welcome to the Dirt Parlor. And this thing is big. Welcome to the Dirt Parlor. Tonight we have an incredible guest with us, Justin Sanders. But before we get into that, we want to thank our partners. I'd first like to thank Nutrien, for Steve Martin for coming on board with Jeff Hoker at Hoker Trucking. We've got Gordy's company, Chucker Customs, involved in our podcast each week with us. And I'll let Gordy, you want to chime in on Reed and a couple others?
Yeah, of course, Reed Millard with Millard Family Chapels, Bo Popejoy with Hot Rod Septic. Just a bunch of really great partners that are letting us, have some fun each and every week with some great guests.
And might as well get into it. It's been, we got Justin Sanders on the show. A lot of people, if you don't know, Aaron Reutzel gets hurt, and they pick up the phone and they call the hot dog out of California. Yeah. Justin's pretty much conquered just about everything you can conquer on the West Coast. And first thing, did you even expect the call, Justin? How'd this kind of come about?
I don't know if I really expected the call. When I saw Brian calling, I kind of wasn't surprised because they had me, when Aaron got hurt at Vegas, I was like, I guess I was like the next available guy to kind of get in because our stuff wasn't running good at Vegas, and I just didn't really do a good job, and I didn't even make the show. And I was sitting there, and Brian's like, "Hey, can you fill in?" And I was like, "Man, I don't know." I was like, "This place is pretty quick, and I'm a pretty picky guy about steering wheel and being comfortable in the seat and having the right insert and so on and so forth." And I kind of told him no. And then I was like, you know what, let me grab my insert. Let me see if I can fit it in Aaron's seat. And we kind of did that. And I went out there and I ripped a, lap and a half of hot laps. I was like, man, this thing is freaking badass. Like this car rolls nice. I wasn't even like tight in the seat and it was dangerous. I was like, you know what, I'm going to rip this thing. They told me if I feel comfortable to rip it. And I was like, I'm going to rip it. And then coming to taking the green flag, that the engine blew up. So I was like, dang it. I was really bummed that I didn't get to drive it. And then, now that I got to come out and do this, or when I got the call, we'll back up. When I got the call, I was like, man, I really want to do it. I kind of got some plans going on, and I was already headed out to a race, when they needed somebody for Lernerville. I was already on my way to a speed week. And, so it just, I don't know, it's hard because I run a business at home. I have a shock business. I work on my own stuff, and it's hard for me to kind of plan around and find the time to even come out and do things like Knoxville and all that. And it's funny, I didn't even tell Brian or Aaron this. I actually called Brian Sunday morning before this week and almost told him I couldn't come, but he didn't answer the phone. So it gave me some time to sit there and think about it. And I was like, man, you know what? Because I wrecked a car at Skagit before I left. I had a 17-hour drive home. I had shocks to build when I got home. I had a car to strip and halfway get put together before I left, and I had to fly out first thing basically Wednesday. So it was a really tight, a tight session to kind of get everything done. And like I said, I actually called him, and if we picked up the phone, I might have canceled the deal. He does, like I said, he doesn't even know this, but I had some time to think about it. I was talking to my wife about it, and I was like, you know what, I don't know how many more times I'll be able to get to go to Knoxville, and especially in a car like that, and how fast the 87 car is. Right now they're one of the fastest cars in the country. So it was it was something I decided that I got to go do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and as a racer, right, like it's hard to turn down a national ride with a team that obviously is as established now as they are. So it's kind of funny for you to sit here and say, like, I was almost going to bow out of Knoxville. There's a million race car drivers that would say, man, if anybody call, I'd go race. But you look at it from a different perspective, being a business owner, having your own stuff. What's the transition been like, hopping in the car? Like you said, obviously you had made a few laps in it, but, obviously having Aaron there is probably a massive, deal just to bounce stuff with him, but, kind of racing for a new team and how that, you get thrown right into the biggest year of the week or biggest week of the year.
Yeah, to be honest, the transition into the car hasn't been bad at all. I mean, we kind of like the cars, I think, somewhat similar. And I know Aaron has had to adjust some stuff for me, especially last night. He made a pretty big swing before the B, and it actually helped me out with, I guess, what I was looking for. I don't know if things just clicked, I guess, and I kind of started to figure it out. And it's just Knoxville is so much different than anything that I race on at home. I mean, like I was telling these guys, I don't think I ran my first half mile until like 8 or 9 years into sprint car racing. And I didn't even hardly start running 410s. I ran a couple 410 races, but I didn't even start running 410s until like 2016, 2017 regularly. So it's just, the driving style is so much different out here. I mean, you make one twitch with your arms and you're down and out, sliding, spinning the tires. If you get on the gas too hard off exit, when you're running the bottom, you spin your tires, you got no speed. So it's, like, and especially on the start, like last night, I was talking to Aaron about it. Normally I could just dump the throttle on a start because we have such a short gear at home. I mean, I could dump the throttle and be ready to go. Well, I tried to dump the throttle on the start last night and it just, it instead of rolling into the gas and letting the butterflies open, letting the air and fuel mixture open gradually, I tried to just dump it. And, I fell back to fourth by the time I got to turn one. So it's just all that learning curve stuff. It's not, I mean, we know the race car's fast and all this. It's just me getting more laps here, more comfortable, and just, trying to get a whole night put together. I was actually happy. We qualified good, but it was finally one of the first nights that I didn't go backwards in the feature. So, I mean, that was good.
You could definitely tell last night when I was watching the B when you were running the top, you could definitely tell that you were getting more and more comfortable, you were passing cars, you were moving around, and you could tell. And what's funny is Aaron was on the show a little bit, and Gordian had a lot of fun with him and stuff. And what's it like? Curious, like because I seen when you're pulling in the pit area, and he's already got his mind made up of what he wants to do to the race car by telling him. I mean, it's got to be a great feeling for you to know that you've got one of the best drivers in the country, who's also looks like he's one hell of a crew chief and coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talent wise and driving and setup and doing his own thing and kind of building his own package a little bit different than everybody else does. I mean, I work on my own stuff, so I can kind of look around the race car and kind of see all the variables and the different stuff he does. And it's pretty cool to watch him put it all together. And yeah, as far as, having him in the pits has been huge, obviously, even just not even just setup and tuning and motor tuning and all that, just talking. And like, if I have a question about how to drive, I could or what I need to do or fix something, it's right there. And I could just go right to him. And he's been really helpful. So, I mean, that's been really good. The crew's been really helpful. Brian's been great, and then, Don Long is providing us with a couple really good engines. Had a new Moyle 410 last night. It ran really well. And it's just, yeah, I mean, it's just been a great experience so far. And I hoping now, like when I go into my qualifying night on Wednesday, that I'll be a little bit more comfortable around the cushion. And, but I was having a lot of problems actually just running the curb right, just keeping the car straight without twitching it a little on entry. And I think I kind of got that a little bit more figured out after last night.
Well, and that's one of the things I was going to ask you about. I've been to the Nationals now a couple years in a row, and as a racer, I'm, really in tune with watching how guys are, how they are driving their cars, how they're running the top, how they're running the bottom. It's easy to say, oh, well, they just go up there and they keep it straight. Like, well, you and I both know that's sure as hell not how it goes.
Yeah.
But when you're bombing like you were last night in the B, and it almost looks like you're not four wheels in the fluff, but you almost have to be so far buried into it, but keeping it straight. How hard is that to do that in a corner that's so wide like Knoxville's are, and it's continuously just making traction when you're all the way in it?
Yeah, well, the problem is if you make one mistake on entry, it messes your whole corner up. Like if you slip the car getting in, and then you slide to it, you roll up, and then you can't get off the corner, it ruins everything. So I needed to fix my entry first before I did anything else. And once I fixed the entry, it kind of helped clean up the rest of the corner. And then it was like figuring out how much throttle to use on exit and where to back, because out of two, you got to backpedal a little bit. And I started getting braver and braver and braver and braver in the feature and it was good. I mean, it was good, but then I smoked the fence and lost 6 spots at the end, but blew the ladder out of the car, bent the wheel, did all that. And just, But no, I just think I need to just keep getting the laps up there and keep making the speed. And I think hopefully all the rest will start coming together.
Are you having fun?
Yeah, it's definitely fun. I mean, it's just different. The culture's different. I'm not around my home, around, tracks that I'm familiar with and all that. But yeah, these guys are great. The crew's great. Like I said, crew's been great. Aaron's been great. His wife Shelby's been great. Everybody's been great. So I mean, I there's not much more that I can ask for, honestly. And in coming into a deal and the way they've made it feel like home, and just how helpful and how, I guess patient would be the word too, because I know they're used to winning a lot and all this. So I know the guys have to be a little bit more patient and all that, because I'm not a half mile guy and I'm not kind of used to everything that we're, not so, like I said, not so much a car, just the different style racing out here. But no, everybody's been great, and yeah, it's been a good time.
Tell me this. It looks to me, going around Knoxville's racetrack for you guys, that the turn 2 exit is easily the sketchiest part, right? Like kind of right where the gate is. It looked like, I don't know if it was in the B or what. It looked like maybe like you almost get the right front against the fence leaving there, but you have to be all the way up there because you can't leave in the black.
Yeah, see, it's weird because at a part of the time in the B, I actually started, I think it was the last couple laps, I was almost able to just peel off of it right at the end of the corner and actually drive straight down the straightaway. And it was actually really good. And I think in the B, I was actually, in the feature, I was passing cars. I was actually catching the guys in front of me, and like I'm going good. So I'm trying to keep pushing harder and harder. Then I think I started making a little more mistakes. The harder and harder I pushed and pushed and pushed, and I kind of forgot to just peel off a little bit on exit right there, and I start pushing the issue and forcing it in harder and trying to get, and I just happened to slip up, and that's where I actually hit the fence, was right there at the gate. So I mean, it's just all learning little stuff, and it's all about minimizing the mistakes here and carrying the speed.
Yeah.
See, Gordy wears, the Donnie Schatz, future father-in-law here, but, so, and we always talk about how Donnie gets around that place, the way he can run the bottom in the middle of the racetrack, around that place like no other. Of course, it's come, and he'd be the first one. I saw a great interview with him when he said, this racetrack owes you nothing.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
And he's like, and when I accepted that is when finally things started happening for him. And it seems to me like when I watch, and it took years and years, it wasn't like it just happened overnight, and this week, I don't know how to come into the pressure of the Knoxville Nationals. You get into a car, you show up, you get the 360 Nationals to get a few laps, and then you roll right into the Granddaddy.
Yeah.
The biggest event of the year. And just kind of like go through like this week's emotions a little bit, like what's going through a little bit of Justin Sanders' head, what's your goals for the week, talk a little bit about that. I mean, like you said, was it part of the reason maybe you didn't want to even come out when you thought about it first? Because, man, it's the Knoxville Nationals, this isn't like going to Bloomington, Indiana on a Friday night.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. That was probably part of it. In the back of my mind, it's, I don't run half miles. It's the Knoxville Nationals. There's a lot of, reasons on that list. I think that was part of it, and home life and business and whatever. But Thursday night last week was definitely the most nerve-wracking. Before getting in the car, being back at Knoxville, running the racetrack again, doing all that stuff. And, I hadn't been here in 2 years. So that definitely made it, how do you say it? It just, I needed to just shake the cobwebs off and shake the nerves out, I think, Thursday night. And I think got that, kind of got that out of the way Thursday night. And then, just tried to get better and better and better every time I hit the track, I guess. But sorry, I kind of forgot the whole question, but
Yeah, you're good.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel better now after last night. I mean, not to say I perfected anything, but I feel like I'm making strides and steps towards the right direction.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure sometimes as much as none of us like running B mains, that B main was probably one of the best things that could have happened for you.
Absolutely.
You know,
I told Aaron, sorry to interrupt you. I told Aaron that same thing last night. I said, honestly, as much as I didn't want to be in that B and, it's your last shot to make the feature and do all that, that was the best thing for me, was definitely being in that B. And then Aaron, before he got on the golf cart to go in the suite and watch, because he likes to watch from the suite so he can see a lot more about what I'm doing and what the race car is doing. He's like, man, just go plug that freaking thing. He's like, just drive it in there, plug it. He's all, something happens, we'll build another one. Just go plug it. And I was like, all right. So on the start, the guys kind of went down in front of me, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm already carrying speed, might as well go for it. And I actually got in, I got real tight and went over the curb. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna wreck this thing right here on the start. And I just caught the right front, got it in the curb, and happened to turn out of it and passed a bunch of cars. I was like, all right, well, I guess that's what I got to do. So just kind of did that the whole race. And like I said, I really wish I didn't make that mistake and hit the gate, because that'd have been a hard charger, and that was $2,500 last night. But
oh shit,
yeah, it was a big hard charger prize. But I think to make the show out of 25 car or 75 cars and log some solid laps, I think that was
not an easy race to make. That race is not easy to make.
No.
It's my first Capitani that I made. I ran it with Twindell in 2022, and then we ran it with Macri, and we actually qualified good, but that was the night it got rained out, so I didn't get to run.
Yeah. Well, and there's already applied pressure when you go to Knoxville in your own equipment, in a team that you've been confident with all year, let alone when you go into a ride like this. And so obviously the more laps you could get last night, the more confidence you get to feeling. But as a race car driver, we're all the same. You're probably slowing yourself down a little bit now, realizing some of the mistakes you're making. I'm sure you're going to go, you probably have already gone back and watched your qualifying laps and your heat race and the B and those things. I mean, I know I do it all the time, but you obviously you lead into your prelim night on Wednesday. Have you and Aaron had a conversation at all about, hey, this is how you kind of qualify here? There's different things you need to do, that when the racetrack's in a little bit different, changes, or hey, it's muddy or whatever. Have you guys had those conversations? Like, hey, what's the best way to get around here? What's, what about this?
Honestly, we haven't really made a plan of attack, because to be honest with you, the racetrack qualifying's been different every night. It's, like the first night, I ran my best laps around the bottom, both corners, and then like the bottom last night was really hard to hit. And it's just, we kind of make a plan of attack after watching hot laps, to be honest, and watching the fast guys. And you'll see a couple good guys go out, and you'll see somebody do something, and then the track will slow down, and then somebody will try something else, and you kind of just got to gauge what's the fastest. And sometimes you want to run one safe lap and then one lap that's not safe, to try to see if you can make some speed. You got to get one in. If you don't get one in, your night's going to be really tough. So that's been kind of our plan of attack, to try to get one good safe one in, and then do something different on the second one. And I think it's worked out really well so far. Like, the car has really good qualifying speed. The motors run good. The car's got good speed. And then I think hopefully now, like, I've been picking myself apart. Like, when I try to run the top, I've just been making too many mistakes. And I think after last night, I kind of have a little bit better of a handle on how to just not turn the steering wheel getting in the corner. I mean, that's basically it. You got to not turn the wheel and let motion and everything else just take over, and let the car work the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, it's really, really hard to say you just don't turn this thing going 140 mile an hour at the end of a straightaway.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely something different that I told these guys, I was like, how do you think I would be if I came here with local competition? Like, you think I could compete? And they're like, yeah, I think you could probably compete. And then I like to maybe one of these times, like, get to come out here and race for a month or two, or run double duty, and just try to see if I could get a constant good feel on how to run this place.
You're being a little hard on yourself. I mean, there's 80, 90 cars at the 360 Nationals, and he's fourth in the points.
Right, yeah.
You started in the second row Saturday night for the feature, so I don't think it's that bad. And the other thing is, you're talking about the rides you've been in. I mean, look at the resume. Oh, I come out, I drove Kevin's car. Then I went into Anthony's car. Now I'm into Aaron's ride. If they didn't, those are three pretty nice little prestigious rides. So it tells you that you got to be doing okay.
Yeah, I guess I just try to get perfection, and I can tell every time I make a mistake in the car, and it's just I mean, I think Aaron will say this too. When we make mistakes, we pick ourselves apart, and because we want to be better. That's just the biggest thing. You want to be better, and you want to keep striving to be the best. And he's done that very well. I mean, I think he's just done a fantastic job on building this whole program, putting the right group of guys, and Brian and all his sponsors and everything. And it's what I'm striving to kind of be like. So I want to pick myself apart as much as possible to fix it.
Sure.
Well, and it's got to give you confidence knowing that even, once you get out of Knoxville, you're headed to your stomping grounds. The places that you grew up at, the places that you dominate a lot of races at, and have had a lot of success at. So I'm sure that also played into your decision of coming out here as well, still knowing like, hey, if I go out here, I can, let's get through Knoxville. What happens. But leading into the West Coast swing, I have to feel like you think that you're going to be a contender every night for wins. Obviously, you have the equipment. You already have the confidence when you go to those places. So I'm sure that has to help a little bit.
Well, I'm gonna tell you guys straight up. I wouldn't count Aaron out for the West Coast swing yet. I wouldn't count him out. He's a racer. Of course, he just had his surgery and all that, but I don't know if I'd count him out. He's not gonna be sidelined that easy. So I'll tell you, you never know. You might see an Aaron Reutzel first night at Tulare. You just never know. So,
it'd be impressive.
Well, we saw that with the broken nose. I mean, he came right back, with it. It's tough to keep down, but there's a little bit different than a broken nose and having multiple fractures. And naturally, sooner he gets better and on the track, that's what we want to see too, just like everybody does. I mean, Aaron Reutzel, I don't care what anybody says. I think he's a top 5 driver in the country.
Absolutely. I agree. And I respect him because, like people, whoever it is, I mean, I really like the guy, but, like him or not, you got to respect him no matter what. You got to respect what he does and what he builds and his grit. And he's like one of them, he's like an old school racer type of guy. He's just one of those guys that he's here to win and he's here to make money, and that's what he's here to do. And I respect that 100%.
Yeah.
Justin, you follow late models at all?
I mean, I don't quite follow them, but I like them definitely better than modifieds. I'll tell you that.
Well, I'd fucking hope so. Yeah.
I mean, I'll just kind of glance at. I don't really know. I know, RTJ has been winning a lot of races, and that's about all I know, I guess.
You're a West Coast guy, so the late model scene's not really. There's not much of it out that way, so it makes a lot of sense why you're not really into it. But it's cool, for me. I mean, I watch a ton of racing just in general. I just kind of how I am, and it's been pretty cool to watch you kind of migrate your way towards the Midwest to some of these other racetracks. You used to watch all the West Coast races. You see Justin Sanders, but did you start to, kind of migrate this way because you felt like, hey, you felt like you accomplished what you needed to out in your grounds, and you're like, man, I want to see, what I stack up with the rest of these guys?
To be honest with you, I probably could come out here and race more often, but I have such a really good car owner at home. I get to. We've worked out a good deal. I mean, I get to race for a good percentage. He's really good. I mean, he provides me with pretty much each and every part of piece of race car or engines or tires or anything that I need to be successful. And I get to be home, and it's just, I don't know, it's different. I like coming out and doing these stints and doing these big races and stuff, even though it's challenging and all that. But, I don't know. I've always been on the fence about trying to go out more, trying to see if I can actually, do it and be successful. But I mean, I think if I was in my early 20s, I would be um, more leaning towards coming out and trying to do something. It's just, I'm 32, married, wife's going to school, got bills, running a shock business and running a race car team out there. So, I mean, I think I've kind of just leaned more towards that, but I definitely like coming and doing things like I get to do right now.
Yeah.
You and Gordy got a lot of similarities.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. We're the same age. We got family, got a business, we got all that stuff. So, I mean,
It's definitely makes it difficult. I mean, I wouldn't trade what I have. I have a pretty good deal going. Like I said, I get to have fun at home still. I get to race, and I get to still make money at it too. So it's really good.
yeah. Well, and the family aspect of it changes all your outlook on life, right? When you got to run a business and you've got a family and you want to spend time with them, it's easy to kind of woe back and say, hey, I'm going to kind of stay in my area. It's exactly what I mean. I ran the Outlaw Tour for 2 years, and then Savannah and I got pregnant, and I just right away said, hey, I'm not going on the road full time anymore. I just would rather be home and enjoy some of this stuff. And I think as a racer, right, you always want to say, yeah, I'd love to race 80, 90, 100 times a year all over the country, but sometimes that's not, realistic. But all power to the guys that do it, because it's an absolute grind going out and being on the road, especially at the national level, which you've seen how hard these races are to win, to even be competitive in. And, when you line yourself up going into this weekend, you have to have the utmost confidence that, like, hey, I'm going in and making the race. Like, you didn't come here to do this just to say, yeah, I want to go and, hopefully we do all right. Like, that's not why you're coming out here to run Knoxville. You're coming out with the expectancy that, hey, I want to battle for a win. I'm going to be in the Saturday A main on Saturday night.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, and back to the other thing about, it's so hard for me because where I live and where I make my living and all that, it's on the other side of the country. That's the thing. I mean, it's not like I have a place in Indy or a place in Knoxville or something like that. I'd kind of have to relocate to come out and if I was going to do more traveling, to be more centrally located, to come back and do other work. So, but yeah, I definitely think, back to your other question, that I'm going to have a little more confidence going into Wednesday. That I can at least make more speed and actually have a handle on the car to be able to pass race cars. And I think that's important. But yeah, I think you're definitely right. I have to go into it as in, we're going to be good. I got to be on it. And our goal is to make the Saturday night A main for sure.
Absolutely.
One of the things too I wanted to bring up, there's been such a flux of talent coming out of California. I mean, you look at, the Kofoids, with Carson and Cole and you
Macedos.
Look just, yeah, right, Carson and Cole Macedos. But the whole point of it is like, Justin Sanders, I mean, he could come out here. He's turned down full-time rides.
Yeah.
And it just, why is California seem like the hotbed right now for so many of these kids that are coming on tour that we're seeing? I mean, just like you turn around, another one's coming, the Corey Days of the world. That's not happening in Indiana and Oklahoma. It's, I think Millbridge is, I see a little bit of thing going because of Millbridge in the Carolinas. And I know that we have a friend of the show that, you're good friends with, Eric Jacobson, and Eric even goes down to Chico with the karting thing.
Yeah.
But, talk a little bit about it. Why, what's going on out there?
Yeah.
These kids are getting opportunities here.
Well, I think in California, to be fast, you have to drive hard 100% of the time. Like, you have to be on kill, because we got Placerville, Chico, Tulare, and all these racetracks. They're very demanding racetracks, and you have to be on kill to be fast. And then when you bring somebody like Kyle and Rico out of carts that have just been at Cycle Land pounding the fence down for so many years, and these guys come out and they're fast, and then you bring Corey Day into the equation. I think those couple guys, I don't know if we just got lucky with those three talented guys. I mean, there's a lot more, don't get me wrong, but those guys just elevate you to push yourself harder. And I think when you get those type of guys, Carson Macedo, Corey Day, Larson and Rico, I mean, you have to push yourself to another level or you're not going to win. That's just basically how it is. You got to get your car better. You got to mentally get better. You got to get physically better. And if you don't push yourself to that next level, you're, like I said, you're not going to get wins. So I think that's why those guys kind of push the rest of us to be better. And then the rest of us are pushing ourselves and each other. So I think it just elevates the whole California sprint car scene. And I think that's kind of what it is. And you got these young kids coming out of micros. I think there's a big micro scene and a big outlet kart scene in California. So you're going to get the guys that are running hard. And it's just, I think we all just bounce off of each other for pushing each other to the next level.
Yeah. When did you start racing, and what did you start racing in?
Oh, I started in just a lay down flat cart, then got a junior sprint, then ran kind of restricted micros and super 600s for a couple of years, and then went straight into sprint car when I was 15. But that's kind of been my whole thing. Like I talked to Aaron and these guys about, I was restricted to quarter miles for so long. My family didn't have a lot of money. We did what we could. I kind of raced locally, didn't really get to travel much. And I kind of got a couple decent rides and was able to move around, and then which propelled into doing other things. And it's, it's taken me a long time. My deal's kind of been like the tortoise and the hare, I guess you could kind of say. You got guys that are really quick and figured out right away. And I've been one of those guys where it's kind of taken me a while to figure stuff out. But I feel like once I kind of get it figured out, I'm not going to say I master it, but I kind of really get the handle of it. Once it clicks, it's just got to click for me. And hopefully I can just make this Knoxville thing click really quick.
Yeah. So you talk about your shock company you have back home. Where did the knowledge and all of that stuff come from? Did you go to school for something like that? Did you have a mentor over top of you that kind of showed you the ropes on all, on building shocks and all these different things, or where did that come from?
I was kind of using a local shock builder, bouncing back and forth between a bunch of different shock companies. And I kind of was just not going to say that that I wasn't getting what I wanted, but I just wasn't quite getting, it's in the shock game, it's hard until you actually get into it, understand what you're doing. To get something, a spot on, like if you want 57 pounds of compression or something like that, it's very hard and it's challenging. And so I just wanted to be able to, do my stuff in house and try to get stuff a little bit, done a little bit faster. And so I kind of just started messing with it. I had a local guy kind of teach me, kind of the basics, and I kind of took it from there. I'd spend hours and, in my trailer, taking stuff apart and dynoing stuff and trying stuff and just trying to understand how these things work. And then I started doing FK. I got on FKs, started doing FK stuff on the side. I've always known Willie and Cole for a while, and then kind of wasn't really a dealer. I kind of would just buy stuff on the side and do my own stuff. And then that kind of just propelled over the years into doing more. And then they wanted to have more people on the West Coast, I think. So we kind of just, I talked to them, and I was actually doing vinyl on the side too, like, decals and stuff. And I actually ended up selling that and kind of went full-time shock stuff because I really enjoy it. And as far as learning, Willie's really helpful if I have a question or can't figure something out, or, trying to build something specific, he can really help me out. And it's all just trial and error. It's trial and error and working with guys like, FK is really good about getting the parts out and, R&D on all their stuff. And it just, the shock games, it's challenging. It's not challenging, but it's challenging at the same time. It's if you have something that's going wrong, it could take you hours, or you can figure it out in 30 seconds. It's just, it's very intriguing. So I really like doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's what a lot of people, I think, in any form of racing, building shocks and those things, there's so much that goes into them. Our late model stuff is pretty wild right now with all the different combinations we're allowed to have, and triple adjustables, double adjustables, your standard base like this. It's crazy across the map. But, as a race car driver, to be in tune with that, to be able to work on your own stuff without having to per se have a crew chief, that goes a long way, because that allows you to pick your pace up faster. If you're in a bad spot where you're struggling or whatnot, you can go in and kind of retune with yourself, rather than saying, calling a shot guy going, hey, when can we go test, or when can I do this? So it's pretty cool to see. There's not a ton of guys, I don't feel like, out there anymore that are doing their own stuff inside their own programs. So, I mean, I didn't know that about you, obviously. So it's cool to kind of hear that, because, I'm one of those guys, the same thing. I call my own shots, tune on my own stuff. So,
Yeah.
real racers are what I grew up on. So it's neat to see that, and for you to have success like you do and win a lot of races.
Yeah, I've just tried to bring my program to be I try to be self-sufficient. Like I have I actually have I got a flow bench. I haven't haven't perfected that yet because I haven't had the time, but I have I build all my BMRS hoses for my race car and all the brake lines and do all that stuff. And I have a torsion bar dyno, and then, try to do all the shock building. I just try to have everything in house, so I'm not reliant on somebody else. If I don't get something done, I'm the only guy to blame. And, so I try to just, I've tried to be, yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess that's all I can say. I tried to make it to where I'm relying on myself and not other people. And if I need something changed, I can do it right away. Or if I need to make something, it's done right away. And I feel like that's definitely helped me in my career and maybe hurt me a little bit. So, I mean, you always try to make something perfect and try to get the car too perfect. And sometimes you're worried about the setup and just going out there and gassing it up. But I think lately I've done a pretty good job at being able to turn off that side. Once I get in the race car, the car's what it is, and I got to just gas it up and go.
Yeah.
You got a favorite track, Justin?
I really like Skagit. I like the.
It's because you got a big paycheck out of there last year. Yeah, we all know that. That always comes. They always say that it's like Andy Hillenberg used to say. I used to ask Andy, "What's your favorite track?" The last one I won at.
Yeah.
Yeah, Skagit's definitely a lot of fun. I mean, Rudine has done an awesome job with that place. I mean,
It's beautiful.
And I mean, he's bringing so much good paying races to the West Coast for us. I mean, it's kind of cool. I mean, even I know that Houston's has their big race, but and Skagit's on the same weekend. But it's cool because he gives us West Coast guys a chance to race for really good money, to where we still get some invaders coming in and some good guys we got to beat. But it's more of the, not going to say the local scene, but it's more of the regional scene. He gives us a chance to race for this big money, and honestly, what he does with Skagit, the weekly pay is great. We really enjoy going up there, honestly, and anytime we get a chance and we can go do a big race up there, we take every opportunity to go up there. And Kevin's just very generous. He offers guys, he helps guys with tow money, and just so much good with charity and just everything he does. It's just awesome. I really like going to Skagit, and we'll get up there any opportunity that we can do it. The only thing that we hate doing is a 17-hour drive, but other than that, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, those aren't very fun.
Not at all.
And the other thing I was going to ask you is the fact, did you have a favorite driver growing up? Was there somebody that you kind of like, you always wanted when you went to the races, who you loved watching?
This is going to sound bad, but not really. I mean, I was kind of in the sprint cars. I like just watching sprint cars. I really didn't go to a lot of sprint car races. My dad was like a stock car guy growing up, and no, I mean, of course, I could go out there and say Sammy or Steve or somebody like that, but
Yeah.
to be honest with you, I liked a lot of the top guys. I mean, I liked Sammy, I liked Steve, I liked Wolfgang, and not really. I know that's probably surprising. A lot of people have their guys that they really liked and all that stuff, and I guess I don't know. No, not really. Like I said, I liked a lot of the top guys.
Yeah. Well, but as like you said, as a racer, you're just growing up in it, especially probably, if you're going to stock car races, you never probably had the opportunity to go meet a lot of the sprint car guys or start to really idolize one of them or any of those things. I mean, I know growing up, the guys I idolized were guys I got to meet and then watch, and I liked them just as much as a person as I did a race car driver. So that, that kind of in tuned me with them. But, do you feel, I guess kind of an interesting question would be, do you feel like you have are you just a flat cushion guy that go, hey, if the cushion's there, I'm going to go get it? Or do you feel pretty dynamic inside your race car that like, hey, no matter the condition, I can go compete? Obviously you can, but is there something that you like doing way more than you like the other?
Yeah, I mean, I try to be dynamic. I try to be able to move around. Sometimes I feel like I get too impatient to run the bottom with throttle control. Sometimes I feel like I've gotten a little bit better at it this year about moving around and getting my race car a little bit better. I actually like it when, I can use Placerville as a reference. When the top blows off, the bottom's gone, there's nothing to get a hold of, and guys are like really slowing down, or guys are trying to, just trying to rip the top. And I like coming in there with a full head of steam and just running like a slider line, like all the way across the racetrack and catching the cushion on exit. I've actually won a lot of races at Placerville doing that. And I feel like that's a craft, like being able to run like the banking. Like you'll watch shots, like I was watching him do it in front of me last night. He's kind of running. He wasn't really running a line. I mean, he's kind of running a line, but he's kind of like not on the top, not on the bottom. He's like trying to run the banking of the racetrack and trying to keep his speed up. So, I mean, I feel like that's something that's really cool, like that I enjoy doing when I can figure it out. If you can run the banking of a racetrack and really make speed, it's cool because not a lot of guys can do it.
Yeah, well, especially that slider line style, even in dirt late models, there's really only been 4 or 5 guys who have ever been able to really do that. Scott was really good at it. Billy perfected it. Burkhofer was good at it. So the guys that are able to do that, it takes so much car control. It takes patience, but it also takes, a lot of confidence in once you get to that curb to really be kind of almost wide open on it once you catch it, because you only get it for, a small portion when you finally get there. But to have your race car, really correct to be able to run that line is really difficult.
Yeah, it's definitely a craft to do it. Like I'm still struggling with that Knoxville, like running the slider line and catching the curb to know exactly how much throttle, not dumping, not opening the board in the center of the corner, and knowing exactly when to pick up the gas at the back to the back on exit. So stuff's challenging. It's not an easy task. I have a lot of respect for guys that can get around, especially Knoxville. A lot of guys that can get around this place. I mean, like I watched Rico last night in the Pulse Shuffle, and I know he didn't win the race, but I'm watching him drive. It just looks effortless when he's driving, and I'm just like, man, I don't understand how he can just do it so effortless like that.
Yeah. Did you notice the air last night? Is that obviously that's got to be a big thing at a place like Knoxville, not following guys too close. If a guy moves up, you move down. How much a lot of people at home don't understand air, or they, we talk about air so much now, and how much you got to keep it on your wings. But last night, when you start in the back, a little bit further back in the pack, how much does that affect what your race car does compared to when you get past 4 or 5 guys and get you some open air? How much does it change the variable how your race car is really acting?
Well, it definitely changes when you have a full load of fuel. I'll tell you that. Like I really felt that in the beginning of the race last night. Like when Aaron was like, hey, go in there and plug it, just see what happens, just go for it. And I got in kind of close to a guy, and I really didn't even follow him that close. And he kind of peeled down, and it did take the air off my car, right in the beginning. And it's not as bad later on in the race as it is when you have fuel load. Fuel load, when you got, let's see, what would we have? 200 pounds of fuel probably swinging back and forth, or 150, pounds of fuel. It really changes the race car a lot, and that really affects the air. But to be honest with you, this car has not been, I don't feel like I've been as affected in air with this car as I was the last 2 cars I was here. I don't know if that's just on his package, or, him setting the race car up, or whatnot, or if I'm just not thinking about air as much. I don't really know. But yeah, on the starts of the race is when it's really bad. It's more, when you got all those cars in front of you and there's all that turbulence. I think it's it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Now let's talk a little bit about the week a little bit. Big thing is you coming from California to Knoxville. What's some of the highlights, some of the places you're hanging out this week? I mean, where are you going to grab something to eat? What's Justin doing?
Well, we've had a lot of Mexican food. I'll tell you that. It's probably been five straight days, I think, of Mexican food. And I think we're actually getting ready to watch the Oskaloosa race here. I'm here at the RSR shop right now, and we're getting ready to watch the Oskaloosa race. I've just been kind of hanging out with the guys and just kind of laying low. I mean, I went to Dingus for a night and checked it out, and just not doing too much. Just trying to keep it low key and not cause any trouble. And last time I was here, actually, funny story. I actually wasn't even trying to get in trouble. That's the whole thing. I had this guy that was like being really crazy with me on the road, to be honest with you, and I actually ended up getting trying to kind of drive away from the guy, and he was kind of swerving at me, and I actually got a really big speeding ticket when I was here. I mean, a massive speeding ticket. So not gonna do that this year. Like I said, I'm just keeping a low profile, and to say I was 100% sober when I did it. It was when I locked into the Nationals with Swindell. It was actually Friday night after Hard Knocks. I was just going back to my hotel, and just I don't know. It was just weird. Guys started messing with me because I passed him in a turning lane because he was going real slow, and he just got on me. I don't know. It was a weird story, but we're keeping a low profile. That's all we're saying.
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit different. When you're coming in here, it's like the one thing you don't want to be doing is being out all night or getting out and doing something stupid, and that getting back to the team. I can understand why that would happen, but I'm sure back home when you guys are racing, you guys probably get after a little bit after the races or after a big win and get to celebrate some.
Yeah, definitely after the Dirt Cup. We might hang out, have a beer or two, and after the races. And I don't know. I'm not much of a partier, I guess you'd say. I'm more of like just a maybe social drink a little bit here and there, and have a couple beers when I'm at home or whatever. But nothing crazy. But yeah, like I said, no, this week definitely laying low. Definitely want to be healthy and make sure I don't catch I'm actually kind of have a sore throat a little bit right now. I've been taking vitamin C and stuff, and just trying to make sure I don't get sick. I want to be in 100%, as good a health as I can be before this big race. So I'll be taking it low. I probably won't be at Dingus another night. Probably won't go back there until the Nationals are over with. So we'll and then because I got to go right back home, because if I don't happen to run the 87 for Nationals, I got to get a car put back together before the following weekend. So I'll be flying out early on Sunday, and as soon as I land, I'll probably do all my laundry, get all my stuff put away, and then first thing Monday morning, I'll be hard at it, getting stuff ready. So
yeah, no, that's all. Well, and what, it's cool to to kind of hear that, that you're already game planned. You're obviously, it's cool to see how thankful you are for the ride, but it's like, not that Aaron's coming back, and at some point you're going back to your ride, and but talking with Brian and all those guys, like Aaron saying the other night, just go plug it, we'll build another one. That's probably got to be, it's almost like a two-way street. I feel like you don't want to tear their stuff up, but you have the freedom to kind of let it loose and make sure you push, to the absolute, furthest edge you can, to do the best this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he obviously doesn't want me to go out there and do something completely stupid, but he doesn't want me to drive it half-ass either. He wants me to be on it, and so yeah, that's definitely a good feeling that he just knows that this is a tough sport, and that things will happen, but you got to be on it, or you might as well not even do it. So it's definitely planning for the future, but definitely the focus here is Knoxville, and we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, I mean, this race pays $15,000 to start on Saturday night.
Yeah,
that's good money.
Yeah, and there's no reason why you won't be one of those 24.
Yeah, I think if I just put together.
Yeah, I know that we wish you nothing but the best.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'll be rooting for you. I think it's a great story. You coming in and doing this. At first, it's funny. Gordy and I chatted a little bit about it. We didn't he might just sit this thing, and not even, because I don't think Aaron's one of those guys. He's just going to put anybody in his hot rod.
Right.
So it's obvious they see something in you. So I think it's great. And I wish you the best, Justin.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. And now it's like the perfect time. I get to walk in the shop and probably put on the Oski race and see what those guys are up to.
Yeah, that's what we're going to be doing shortly, too. We're going to be checking it out.
Yeah,
too.
I think I'm going to try to I'll be up at Knoxville starting Wednesday. So I told Aaron when I got up there, I'd definitely drop by the shop. So I'll make sure I make my way over and say what's up. But yeah, just best of luck to you, man. And, super excited for you to get the opportunity. So I'm excited to see what you can do on Wednesday night. And, we look forward to watching you on the West Coast, whether in the 87 or back in your ride. But, best of luck on, the rest of the year. And, let her fly on Wednesday.
Let me know if he shows up with Modelo's or not. You know what I mean?
I ain't showing up with no Modelo's. No Modelo's.
I'm sure that they'll be here. There'll be some at the shop. You won't have to worry about that. So
that's what Aaron said. He said you don't got to worry about bringing beer. The fridge is always full.
Oh, I don't think there's any water in there right now. I think it's packed full of beer. So
that's about how it goes. I love it.
Well, that's great, Justin, man. Again, we wish you the best, man, and thanks for coming on the Dirt Parlor with Gordy and I. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. I'll be talking to you guys soon. Thank you.
You got it, man.
See you, Justin.
See you.
Bye.
Well, welcome to the Dirt Parlor, and we're going to talk a little bit about Gordy had a great weekend, folks. My counterpart here locked into the race, won the B main on Saturday night. Very tough race to make. Standing room only crowd. And I'm just going to turn it over to him and let you talk a little about. You got to be pretty pumped up. I mean, that's just awesome.
Yeah. Well, Thursday was not a good night for us. I buried us in qualifying. I screwed up both my laps in 3 and 4, and started us third row of a heat race. And from there, it just seemed like everything was going wrong from that moment on. I got into the slime that they left us there in the bottom and bounced right off of Jordan Yagi and knocked all the right front stuff off my car. We fixed it to go back out for the B, make sure everything was good. And, woke up really with the new game plan of, Friday was a complete new day, had nothing to do with Thursday night, and made a few changes to what we had tried on Thursday. Just really went back to what we had been doing. I had gone off some previous notes and didn't feel as comfortable, so we went back and, at least qualified better. Set ourselves up to be front row of the B main on Saturday, and was fortunate enough to make our way in through the B. We had the Fans Fun Dash on Friday night, which I led for a little bit till Devin drove around us. So, all in all, just to go up there and make that race. Cedar Lake is a really hard technical racetrack. It's very fast early, and then it gets really patchy and super, super slick. So there was a lot of guys that struggled really hard, all weekend, making absolutely no grip, and you could see it. A guy like Turbo had a really bad weekend. Bobby was, he struggled all weekend. So, it's really tough to go up there and find balance in your race car, and just to get into the race Saturday was good. And we took off really good the first 15-20 laps of the feature on Saturday night. I passed RTJ and got by Moran, and had made some hay and thought we were going to at least have hopefully a top 10-ish car. And I caught the hole wrong one time down there in 1 and 2, and ended up bending a lever shock and some other things. So kind of hampered us. I was pretty frustrated inside the car after that happened, because it just really robbed all my traction, any grip I had. And, we still made all 100 laps. One of the things I was not going to do was just pull off at that point. The fans, the people of the Fans Fun Dash, they got us up there, and I felt like, we were going to make 100 laps no matter what it was.
I
and,
like that.
It's Cedar Lake is a awesome atmosphere. I mean, the crowd on Thursday alone was massive.
It was
huge. And, Friday and Saturday, they got bigger and bigger. And, people all over that. Cedar Lake has one of the best pit areas in the country for after the races and things, because they only see us once a year. So they thoroughly enjoy us coming there. You know, I don't know how many people climbed in my race car between Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night and taking pictures. And if you ever go to Cedar Lake as a race car driver, you better take a brand new box of hero cards because they want every one of them. They do. And the autograph session on Saturday, thousands of people just moving around in there, and it's a cool sight to see. You know, they do a great job of entertainment throughout the weekend. You know, they have a big fireworks show on Friday, and you know, had a flyover on Saturday for opening ceremony. So I wish our 100-lap finish would have been better. I really love the long races like that. I feel like you normally get to halfway, and when the racetrack cleans up, that's when I get going a little more. But we were already kind of hampered out at that point. So all in all, you know, we've tried 3 crown jewels this year. We've made all 3.
There you go.
You know, and that's a big thing for our team. Yeah, for our team, it's a big deal. It was really cool to get my little brother in there with us on Saturday as well. You know, Mom and Dad were super happy about that. And you know, for one of our good sponsors, Jim with JT Auto Sales up there, who plays a big part in getting us in through those Fans Fund Dash. You know, just to have both cars that he sponsors in there was great for those guys. So, you know, overall good weekend. I was super pumped for my buddy Ryan Gustin.
Nice.
Did an unbelievable job. You know, pacing that race for as long as he did, and keeping all those guys behind him. You know, I know Sheppy got really close to him at one point, and a yellow kind of fell his way. But you know, Sheppy kind of showed him those one time, and Ryan forced the issue and made, you know, Sheppy make a decision on, you know, are you going to lift or not lift, and are you going to give me room? And you know, Ryan did what he had to do there. So yeah, it was you know, just a great weekend overall. I felt like the racing was really good from Thursday on. So yeah, and we didn't get any rain this year up there. That's the first year in like 7 years it hasn't rained at Cedar Lake.
And plus a big shout out to Jeff Hoker. I mean, the week before, Brian Shirley wins the PDC. He sponsors Brian, and then, you know, naturally he sponsors Gustin, back-to-back winners, and then you making the show and stuff. He probably had a big old smile.
Yep.
Jeff did, and he's got a big event coming up here in a couple of weeks. You know,
Yep.
You know, at Makokata with the big race, with
Yeah.
the Hawkeye race,
Yeah.
with the World of Outlaws. So, a lot of good things going on there. It looked like the crowd was massive. You know, when I was looking at some of the highlights, I couldn't get over some of the carnage.
Oh yeah.
I saw early on, you know, naturally the Albertson and you know, getting into Tim at the deal, you know,
Yeah.
turning right into
Hey,
the
you want to know
concrete.
something good?
And then when I saw, who was it that came all the way up from the bottom? Chubb.
Oh yeah.
Chubb comes all the way to the bottom, and Figure just has nowhere to go in on the full ride of the gas. And just basically
clobbers him.
Yeah, just clobbered him. So I mean, there was some crazy shit.
Yeah. No, it was funny. So on Friday night, after that entire ordeal with Albertson and Tim, you know, Cedar Lake's notorious for the barn they have out back. They have the big after party with the band and whatnot. And as I was walking in, Jake Tim was walking in with me, and I just bumped and said, "Man, that sucks. You know, I hate that for you." He's like, "Yeah, I know." And then as we walked in the door, Garrett Albertson was standing right there, and I walked over to Garrett. I said, "Hey, did you apologize to him yet?" He said, "Yeah, we already talked. We're all good." But I just had to ruffle some feathers. But that was I don't know. This is a bad deal for everybody. You know, I don't think Garrett would have ever intentionally done something like that, but put himself in a bad spot, and he got booed for it. They booed him pretty good up there, and Garrett's a awesome dude, and I know he felt terrible, but yeah, it was a lot. There was a lot happening. There was a lot of carnage. There always is at Cedar Lake because it's a lot of money, and you're pushing extremely hard throughout the entire weekend, and that's, you know, sometimes shit happens like that. You know, Chubb come over because being that I got in on, you know, Saturday, that put Chubb in the race on Saturday night, and he came over and joked with me because Trevor was running behind me in that B main, and I was already technically locked in because Devin was in. So he said, I wouldn't have been mad if you'd have moved over and just let your brother in the race right there and put me out of it. And it was, pretty funny. So I promise I wouldn't have held anything against it, but I got a cool picture. I'll send to Abby here. She can clip on here. They hung a Chubb Frank door on my left side after the feature.
Oh, very cool.
And took
Very
a picture
cool.
of it. So, it was pretty cool. But, now beyond that, we lead into the granddaddy.
Well, we just finished the 360 Nationals, and it was the race that everybody wanted.
Yep.
Because it was Rico in a 57 on the front row. So I don't know how you could be more excited. I mean, the 360 Nationals lived up to billing in the discussion.
Yeah.
And Rico gets it done. I mean, he wins the race. He lost the spot, on a restart. But Kyle talked about how his motor wasn't really firing, even on the preliminary night.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't taking off to it. And he even made a comment going, now, I don't know if it's because I don't run 360s enough.
Right.
More like the 410 thing. But the bottom line, Rico got her done, and then it leads into this weekend of the 410 Nationals. You had the Cappy last night. How fitting was it that Kyle's got the NASCAR race, doesn't run. Of course, gravel sits out. All the shit going on and everything else, and leading into it, I thought it was perfect.
Yeah.
They're setting it up to where they don't race against each other on the preliminary nights.
Yeah.
David's Wednesday, Kyle's Thursday, and then of course, when you watch the Cappy, the 15 car, you're watching it and you're going, he's starting to make us think again.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
The shitty season he's had, he'd be the first one to tell you.
Yep.
It doesn't look like he's having any fun out there, but yet there's something about when you get into August and you get into Knoxville, he is the Godfather.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Well, and what's crazy is I feel like almost every night, you watch Big Don run, they struggle early. They don't qualify very good. They heat race, they're just okay. And then he starts 15th in most of these features, 16th, 17th, then he drives up to 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. And everybody knows that if he starts near the front, he's a threat no matter where he starts at Eldora, at a Knoxville, no matter what. But last night he goes out there, puts a good qualifying time down, runs good throughout his heat race. And then, the racetrack, it seemed like it looked like it rubbered up there towards the end of the race. Obviously J-Mac and those guys had kind of moved down and were just kind of running the middle of the track. But right before that, Donnie's out in the middle of the racetrack doing what he normally does, where everybody else was running the top, and he was just making speed. So, it's a good sign for their team. Obviously, I think the confidence factor he has and how he knows how to get around Knoxville. You just heard Justin Sanders talk about it. He said he was right behind him and said watching him kind of use the banking of the racetrack to make speed is not something many people are able to do, and that's what makes him so dangerous at these big races, the high-paying races, the half-mile races. He's able to put his race car in different spots that other guys aren't able to. So,
Dude, he's Picasso.
Yeah, it is.
He's doing a painting, dude.
Yeah.
He's a masterpiece,
Yeah.
dude. That's what he does. Like him or hate him or whatever, the bottom line is Donnie Schatz is great for racing.
Yep.
He doesn't have anything to prove to anybody. Doesn't have to. He does things his way, and I applaud him. But I guess I'm different. I expect it.
I do too.
It's when you hear these people going, "Oh, look at the year! You're so surprised." I'm like, no,
it doesn't matter.
not in August.
Nope.
April, who cares?
Yeah, I would agree.
But when you get into August and you get to Knoxville, and I got the other thing is, man, how fast was J-Mac last night?
Dude, that was impressive. Very impressive.
He had a 4-second lead at one time.
Yeah. And you people could say, oh, you started on the front row or whatever. That when you flat out whoop a field like that,
dude,
you are making a statement that you didn't come here just to make the race on Saturday. You come here to try and win on Saturday, because beating a field like that in the way he did and filing through traffic as fast as he was, was really impressive. I love the live onboard view they had last night.
I was just getting ready to say the in-car.
Super cool.
It's awesome.
Yes,
Badass last night.
To see, especially at a place like that, where it shows how much work is going into what you're doing throughout the corners. Shows how hard these, how difficult it is to drive these race cars on a big racetrack like that. Because, listen, you're inches from disaster at any point, and you're also, if you're running the bottom, you're inches from being out in the middle of the racetrack, backpedaling, losing a second. You could see last night when a guy would just barely miss the bottom. I think it was the B main I was watching. Somebody missed the bottom and couldn't slow down fast enough to get back to it, and just gets his doors blown off, by both guys that were running the top and the bottom. So, I don't think we're going to see rubber this weekend. I don't know the last time I've seen Knoxville ever really rubber like that, but I thought the racetrack as a whole is going to lead to a lot of really, really good racing.
And they raced that place
weekend.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and leading into this weekend. And I got to ask you right on the spot, who you like? Who gets her done on Saturday night?
Big Don. I'm
I have no problem with it, Gordon.
It's not. Here's the thing, the racetrack, if it gets to that clean, the top is technical, the bottom's that thin.
50 laps.
Yep, and it has that, kind of dirty, gritty stuff out in the middle that has that little bit of grip. Nobody else can run it. And it's fast, if you can do it right. He's proven that. So, Rico, I think, is the odds-on favorite.
Right.
You couldn't, after watching last weekend, it'd be hard to say he's not. I think obviously Kyle's going to be right up there with him.
I picked the two.
You're going to take Gravel.
I was there in June, and watching him in June, the way he was able, even with Corey, when Corey won on Saturday night, and watching him, the way he seems to me like he can make up so much ground so quick. It's like he's back there, and next thing you know, he's on your ass. The way he hunts sometimes, it's very impressive. He's got we all know, he got a great car owner, and Cody Jacobs is probably about as good as it gets. That team, they're not short on confidence. I mean, let's lay that out there right off the bat. So I think David is naturally, it seems like, and there's been some debate here, and I wanted to ask you about this, Gord, is the fact that sprint car racing probably right now is as good as we've ever seen. I'm not kidding you when I say it. It might be as good as it's ever been.
Yeah.
With the names, the sponsors, everything, the way the two series, the money that's out there for these guys now, between both series. Me and you, we talk about it all the time. We're not picking sides here. We're all about the growth of this thing. And the way it's really growing right now, is it good this week, would you think is it? I think even if Kyle wins, I think it's great for the sport. Some people would say, well, with the playoffs, with NASCAR coming around, we're not going to see a lot of Kyle after this. Probably, and he's probably going to run this West Coast a little bit, but he's really going to focus on the chase, which I understand that. But talk to me a little bit about it, as far as where we are, how healthy the sport is right now, and going into the biggest race of the year. What is the best outcome for you?
I think there's a lot of different outcomes. I think a guy like Rico winning
his first major,
it would be probably the best thing that could happen, truly, because although Rico has done a lot and won a lot of things, this one seems to hamper him. And he wins the other stuff, but he doesn't win the big one. And it's not because he's not talented enough. It's
right.
None of that. Sometimes things just don't go your way, and it's nothing against Kyle or those guys, because if Kyle wasn't racing on Sundays, he'd be a full-time sprint car driver. But Rico's the most likable out of them all, right? Rico's a guy that everybody can root for, and it's nothing against David, but David's not a guy people want to root for.
That's true.
You know, he's on his social media stuff, and it's cool to see him doing some of that, but he doesn't do himself any favors on social media sometimes. You could see that with the reaction he got after Kyle tweeted towards him. And so I think if Rico wins, I think the entire sprint car world wins by all means. And if Kyle wins, there's nothing bad can come out of Kyle winning because he's the biggest spotlight we have on dirt racing in general. If Donnie finds a way to win it, it's just another piece of history that we're never going to see again. So, but then there's a plenty of other guys that can win this race. Don't get me wrong. So I don't know if there's anything bad that happens, by who wins Saturday, because the sprint car sport is growing in a completely different direction because they've got Kyle and Brad at the helm with guys like Seabell that are racing it. So they're bringing this national NASCAR attention with them. So the spotlight's already there. And I think one of the cool things about going into Knoxville, right, is they're getting to showcase how much talent is in these fields. There's going to be people that have never watched a sprint car race watching sprint cars this weekend that are going to become huge fans of somebody because names are made at Knoxville, right? A middle tier guy, and when I say middle tier, I mean by recognition wise, could easily win the Saturday night feature, meaning, maybe somebody that not everybody's rooting for, but the talent is plenty there. So that part of it is what's exciting because you just never know what's going to happen here, right? What I think gravel last year, Donnie won Hard Knocks night, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, and
true.
Gravel didn't get out of his night and had to come from the back of a C or something or whatever it was, or maybe he ran Hard Knocks. I don't remember what it was.
The one year he was going to win it. It was just a few years ago, and he broke the motor.
Yep. And so, yeah, anything can happen.
And the one, the greatest storyline, in my opinion, that could happen at Knoxville, and it could happen, and I'd love to see it, is Brian Brown.
Absolutely.
Dude, if Brian Brown would win this, sorry, I almost said it, but he'd win this fucking race, they'll tear that place down.
Absolutely, they would.
Because this guy has been one of the best ambassadors for any form of racing.
Yeah.
And 360 Nationals, podium. Capitani, podium.
Yep.
We all know it's won World of Outlaw races. It's won Knoxville prelims. It would be the story. It would be the Cinderella story, man.
Yeah.
Dude, it's not really because it's not like he's a dark horse or anything.
Right.
He's every competitor in the pit area knows how good he is.
Yes. Yep.
So, but to me, that if I could pick any storyline that I would love to see, would be the Casey's car take it to the house.
It would be something. It would be one for the ages, that's for sure. It'd be an unforgettable one. There'd
be a lot of tears.
Yes, absolutely there would be. Well, and you'd think, too, you look at last night. Take a guy like J-Mac.
Oh, same way.
Right? J-Mac went back home, didn't want to race full-time over here anymore. He comes back. He's been lighting it on fire. And I don't know how many people from Australia and New Zealand come to Knoxville.
You hit it on it.
It is a lot. It is a lot now. Sprint car racing is massive over there. So
he was pretty emotional too.
Yeah, 100. Yeah,
saw it.
Yes.
I mean, you thought it was a Knoxville prelim, or even because he knew. It's so funny you mentioned that with Australia, because he knew how many people were in there, and he even brought that up.
Yep.
The fact that his fan base.
Right. Oh yeah,
here.
it's huge. Yeah.
And good for him, dude. He's one of the best guys in the sport.
Yeah.
The personality that J-Mac has, dude. I mean, that's what we're blessed with. And then we get these kids. We get Pursley.
Yeah.
Starting to, and Timms and all this young, and Macri's we know Macri's going to be a future Knoxville champion. And that's what, like you just hit it. There's so many great stories.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a storyline that doesn't work out. I think the one that, and I'm not saying it's not,
I know.
It's if the two wins it, that's probably
the worst thing that could probably happen.
Yes. And I'm not not saying I don't wish he does, but it just in general, that's probably the worst thing, that for the realm of people and what they want to happen, that's what they don't want to happen.
Well, and David's actually right, though. I love it. Part of it says it's still got to, bother him. It's funny. I was talking to Mark Richards a little bit about this because I said I brought up David Gravel to him. I said, he gets booed, and I go, kind of Scott gets booed, and Mark said, Scott didn't get booed because they hated him. Okay, right. Let's understand that. Scott was booed. He won so damn much.
Yeah.
But the same people that were booing Scott, he goes, they were buying his T-shirts.
Yes.
Okay. He goes, I'm going to tell you right now, the people that are booing David Gravel, they're not buying his T-shirts.
No. Nope.
And
there is a difference.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
And but
yeah.
The Eldora thing, bringing it to a head or anything, and I thought Stenhouse. I don't know if you saw Ricky put out a little bit of a social. They asked him about it. He said, "Listen, man, you understand this? Larson don't really give a shit.
Nope, we don't.
Kyle's going to do what Kyle does.
Yeah.
And if anything, he's probably looking at what David's saying. He's probably like, well, it's obvious. It's getting to him.
Yeah.
But he goes, the problem is probably not even. Kyle don't even think that way.
Yeah. I know. I saw a pretty good one last night because there was a lot of people on social media wondering where Gravel was last night, why he wasn't racing, and somebody replied with he was still getting the dirt out of his eyes from the sliders Thorson gave him the other night. it was pretty good. I'm like, shit. So I mean that one too, for David, it's like he almost applied more pressure on himself going into this week by having this war with Kyle, replying the way he did, and then not winning last weekend. I'm not saying that he's like, sweating, but that doesn't help by any means.
Another one we didn't talk about, and he's our guest on the show actually after the Nationals, is Carson Macedo.
Yeah.
First of all, how beautiful was that car last night? That gold.
Yeah, awesome.
And Carson's going to be, and I can tell you right now, there's a guy that we could easily, when we have him on the show next Monday, he could have the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very much possible. And last night, it seemed at the beginning of the race, he took off pretty good and got to moving. So obviously they've had speed all year. And so there's.
And we both know he hasn't been healthy.
Right.
Well, I mean, you watch him walking around.
That's what I mean. You watch him getting out of the race car and kind of see him limping around and things. But I feel like those health issues kind of disbar during this week. You kind of forget about all those things. But let's not forget that there's Darren Pittman sitting in this field, and a bunch of guys that have plenty of speed to be competitive. And it all starts obviously Wednesday and Thursday with your prelim night and your qualifying and all that stuff.
Pill draw.
Yeah, and we're not even talking about a guy like Brad Sweet.
No.
And because Brad hasn't won a ton, but how could you count him out?
And a team that's went through so many changes now after last week when they made the announcement.
Pretty wild.
Casey shutting the team down.
Yeah.
And focusing on it, which, and I was going to talk to you about that. I'm glad you brought that up because of the fact that, because you're running a business, trying to race and doing all this thing. Okay, Brad, when we had Kendra on here, we talked, remember I brought that up. I go, this guy is so focused still as a race car driver, and yet he's got responsibilities with the high limit on the management side of it. Married, got daughter Savannah walking around the pit area and everything else. So he's got a lot of balls in the air.
Yeah.
And then you knew when all of a sudden it comes out to where Casey's like, I'm going to focus on this. And you wonder if he's trying to take some, trying to clean the plate up a little bit for Brad can maybe focus a little bit more on racing.
Probably, I'm sure.
What do you think?
I would think so because, Casey's still owning a team and having to fund a lot of this stuff, and that's a lot of financial burden in itself.
And he's got a big screen printing business too.
Yep. And so there's a lot going on for Casey as well, and so I'm sure what happened on whatever night that was, Thursday or Friday when they were light,
had a lot to do with it.
I'm sure that played a massive factor into everything. That. Right there was probably like, man, we can't even go race a 360 Nationals race without having something stupid happen. Maybe we need to rethink our program here and kind of put all their eggs in one basket. Obviously, Brad's trying to win a title on on the high limit side, and they thought that was what was best for him, and maybe it is. And so that now Brad is always in that conversation as well. I mean, he has to be, right? I mean, he's leading the points on the high limit series, but yeah, it's going to be a really, really good weekend, from Wednesday on, and a lot of things can happen, and the cards fall where they do, but ultimately the cream will rise to the top. Yeah. And I would be obviously, like I said, I think Rico and Kyle are your two easy favorites. I guess Donnie is he's in the top 5 of favorites. If you ask me,
without a doubt,
couldn't put him outside of it.
As long as he's on the racetrack and has a pulse,
yes,
he's dangerous.
Yes, and from there it just kind of shakes itself out. So I can't wait to go up there and watch all 4 nights and be a part of it, and and then come back on Monday and talk to Carson and recap his weekend and see what happens. So they're super excited and just ready to get up there.
I'll let you do the closing statement, Gord, and we're going to be signing off from the Dirt Parlor, and look forward to catching up with everybody next week to break down the Knoxville Nationals.
Yeah. Thank you to everybody who watches at home. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and or X, not Twitter. And give us a follow. And if you're up at Knoxville, make sure you stop and say hi, and see you guys next week.